Hey everybody, this is the first of two videos I'm going to post addressing the question of whether or not the Bible takes a stance on abortion. In this video, I'd like to address Numbers 5, the sotah, the ordeal of the woman suspected of adultery. I've seen a number of people appeal to this text as the Bible endorsing or prescribing abortion, but I don't think this is a good reading of the text. It's not how the earliest readers understood it. In fact, the rabbis for a while had a debate about whether or not it would be appropriate to involve a pregnant woman in the ordeal. But additionally, the favorable outcome from the woman is fertility in the future. The text says she will conceive. There is no fetus present in this example. The unfavorable outcome has more to do with imagery associated with infertility in the broader ancient Near East, and that is the most common punishment for marital infidelity and sexual sin, both within the Bible and in the broader ancient Near East. I don't think this is about abortion. Hey everybody, this is video number 2 addressing the question of whether or not the Bible takes a stance on abortion. To be brief, no, it does not. However, it does take a stance on an issue that is relevant to the contemporary debate about abortion. If we look at Exodus 21, we find some case law there in verses 22 and 23 addressing what happens if men who are fighting accidentally injure a pregnant woman. In verse 22, it states that if they induce a miscarriage, and the husband and the judges will determine a fine to impose. In verse 23, it states that if the woman dies, then it will be life for life. In other words, the death penalty. What this indicates, and one of the primary ways that this has been read within Judaism for millennia, is that the value of a fetus in the eyes of the law was considered to be lower than the value of a born human. Hey everybody, I've had a number of people who are concerned with my decision to understand Exodus 21:22 as a reference to miscarriage and not to premature birth. The strongest argument I've ever seen made that this is a reference to premature birth and not miscarriage is the notion that the verbal root yatsah is frequently used in reference to normal birth. And while that is the case, usually it's yatsah merechem, as in Jeremiah 1:5, come out from the womb. There's usually more in the context that indicates it is a regular birth. And there is an objection that yatsah can be used to refer to miscarriage in some places, but the objection is that there is also additional stuff in the context to indicate the death of the fetus. Now, while that is true, there are other places where other derivations of the root are used to refer to miscarriage in and of themselves, like yotzeit in Psalm 144. I think it talks about cattle miscarrying. And so this is pared down Hebrew. It's just vayatsu yeladeha, which actually means her children, they leave or depart. Doesn't say anything about the womb. And so it is ambiguous. I will grant that the Hebrew in and of itself is ambiguous. However, the context here and the broader literary context of Exodus 21 and the legal corpora of the ancient Near East make it absolutely unambiguous. To begin with, all ancient Jewish authorities understand this unambiguously to refer to miscarriage. Additionally, imposing a fine is something that happens when there is material loss. If this simply catalyzed a premature birth that did not result in any serious injury or harm, there would be absolutely no reason to impose a fine if the covenant code and broader Israelite and Judahite law is at all consistent. Next, this matches a number of other law codes from the ancient Near East. Sumerian law, law of Hammurabi, Middle Assyrian laws, Neo-Babylonian laws. They all have sections that talk about what to do when a man hits a woman and either causes a miscarriage or causes the death of the woman. Those are the two outcomes that are addressed consistently in the laws. And the covenant code is directly based on Hammurabi's law, and that's what's going on behind me. This is a segment from David Wright's excellent book, Inventing God's Law, which is precisely about how the covenant code is based on the laws of Hammurabi. And as you can see, causing a miscarriage directly parallel to the laws 209 to 214, which again address two circumstances: hitting a woman that causes a miscarriage or causes her to die. If your translation says this is about premature birth and not miscarriage, it is wrong. Hey, thank you for the question. This is nowhere explicitly stated in the Hebrew Bible, but the idea that life begins at first breath follows directly from the consistent presentation of the thorough integration of life and breath. In Genesis 2:7, the deity breathes into the nostrils of the human the nishmat hayim, the breath of life, turning them into a nefesh hayah. Nefesh, which can mean soul, is also frequently used precisely to mean life, and nefesh means neck or breath. This is similar to the concept of ruach, spirit, wind, or breath. It is also used frequently to refer to someone's life. We see the rabbis debating what manner of life exists at different stages of gestation. For instance, before 40 days, it's just water. After 40 days, it's something different. But across the board, personhood, full developed human life happens at the first breath.